Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we are trying to discuss about the one of the important example called this particular component mapping. So whatever the component mapping we created here, we are trying to discuss about this particular example here. Okay. So whenever we are trying to insert this particular data, so we got some exceptions here. So this exception because of this particular the naming strategy, whatever the class we implemented. So this particular class is deprecated because of this particular foreign key and the logical column name. Because of this particular the extra column whatever we did not provide the value, because of those we got an exception here. But right now I commented this section here. Now you can see here we don't have this particular naming strategy. So we uncommented this example. So successfully we executed how this particular example it is going to work here. Okay. Now you can see here I'm trying to remove this particular the naming strategy class here, and we created one address called home address, and home address we are setting here. So these are all the home address related information. Now what we will do here, we are going to run the same example here. Whenever we are running this particular same example, so now you can see class not found exception. What is the class not found exception we are getting? Something like address here. Now I'm trying to rerun this particular example here. Now observe carefully. So again we are getting this particular address here. So from where it is getting this particular address? This is understand here component class for whatever the component class we created here, the particular component class it's not found here. Okay, so this is important, we need to understand here. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to change this particular component section. This address I'm providing here, and okay, home address. I want to copy this as well. Okay, now I'm trying to run the same example. Now you can see could not find the getter for this particular billing details. So where it is expecting it in the user class. So what we are missing here in the user class, we don't have the particular getter called billing details. So here we are having only home address. Now what I will do here, I'm going to modify with help of this particular billing address as well. Okay, now what we can do, we'll try to generate the billing address related sections also. The setters and the getters are generated here. Okay, these are all the important section we need to understand here. Now you can see again I'm trying to run the same example here. So whenever we are running here, we need to understand here what are the exceptions we are getting. Now you can see we are not getting any exceptions here. So successfully the data is inserted into the user table. So user table, so we modified with the user one here, and here we don't have the particular schema related. So now I modify the schema. So because of this, it is trying to store in the public 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 schema here. Okay. What are the columns we are having? Home city, user ID, username, home street, home zip code. These are all the columns are updated here. Now you can see how many like how many columns we have. Billing related sections and home related sections. Now if I'm going to open this particular debugger, we'll identify how this particular example it is going to work. And what is the section we can write here? The section basically So user one, three records are inserted inside this particular user one table. These are all the three records here. Okay, Hibernate, so home city, and these are the record. Now what I will do, I'm going to drop this particular table and we'll recreate this particular table so that we can easily understand how this particular data now it is inserting here. So that particular table is dropped here. Now if I'm going to run here, so we don't have a table. Okay, the table is empty. But what we need to understand here, this is important. So carefully observe what we are doing here. So the message section I commented. Okay, we are not discussing about the more about the messages and the naming convention, like the naming strategy we commented here. Okay, remaining section here I'm trying to create the home address. So this is the user class. So username we are setting and home address we are setting. So these are all the home address related properties. Okay. So home address, how we can write the city? Okay, city. So we can write something like okay. So street something like we can discuss about the and zip code something we can add some different the zip code I'm giving it, and this is the home address. So same way. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to create a one more address. Okay, this is for billing address. Okay, city I'm giving something like Bangalore, and here billing address dot set the street here something like what is the street we can provide here. What is the street we can provide here? Something like so okay, instead of BG we have a MG, right? Okay, and billing address dot set zip code here. So zip code I'm giving, and after this now what we can do here, user dot set billing address. This is important. This is important, we need to understand here. Now you can see what I'm doing here. Here I'm trying to create the two address objects here, home address as well as billing address I'm creating. And here I'm setting the user related information. So username, what is the username we can set here? Something like what is the name of the username we can provide. So instead of creating this particular username, I'm going to provide string hyphen hibernate. Okay, this is the another username we are trying to create in here. Now observe what I'm doing here. So this is the username we are setting, home address, and here we are setting the billing address. These are all the home address fields and these are all the billing address fields. Only what is the object I'm saving? So something like address. Address I'm not saving, only the user object we are saving here. Okay, this is we need to understand. Now if I'm going to run this example, what happens internally? Now you can see the user table not found here because of schema it is updated as a public here, and it's trying to load the sequence value, and internally it is trying to inserting this particular table. So what is the name of the table we are having? User one here. Okay, now if I'm going to use whatever the user one table we have, now observe carefully here, along with this particular home address we have a billing address as well. Along with this particular section, we are having home address as well as billing address here. Now finally, what we are doing is we are trying to store the home address as well as billing address. So secondary record, now what we can do, if I want to store only the billing address, if I want to store only the billing address, now I'm trying to comment out this, and this section also I'm going to comment out. Okay, and this address objects also we can comment out here. Now you can see, if I'm going to run again the same object, what happens internally? So here some of the not null values. So what are the not null values we are having? Home address. Some not null values we provided, because of that we are getting an exception. Now we can remove this particular not null constraints here. Okay, and here also we can remove not null constraints here, and finally this section also I'm trying to remove here. Now what I'm doing here, again I'm trying to run the same example here. Home street, okay, we removed, right? So error null values in the column called home street of the relation user1. So violation not null constraints here, home street. So here only the home street we are having. There is no not null constraints here. But why we are getting this? So type string we provided column home street here.
Did you provide that's a unique key or anything on the top while creating the table?
So there is no unique sections, because this table Hibernate is going to create here. We don't have any. Okay, wait, something we are missing. I think we are getting an exception here.
Because the ID is automatically it's generating, right? It's fine, I think.
Property must be followed by either the specification or close. Okay. Which property it is missing the closing bracket? Okay, this is fine. Component property. Let me validate this. What is the validator we used in the last session?
I think this is the one.
Okay, property must be followed either attribute specification, which 14. Okay, type string and column. Yes, so some space we have here, but here nothing is there. This one. Okay, so it is completed. Now we'll run the same example. Home street relation user 1. Okay, so I think we need to drop the table one more time. Because of this, so in the table,
Okay.
Let me go to this databases, schema, public, and table. So what is the table we are trying to create? User one. So if you see the constraint, user one only, foreign key no, and here home zip, home city, no combination. So constraints. Where we are having, so basically these columns are created with help of not null constraints here. Because of this we are getting the particular exceptions here.
So we can drop this table, right? And we can
Yeah,
again run that.
we can drop, but I'm trying to find out here, is there any option to remove the constraints information? Only we have the username related sections here. So home state default, nothing is there.
Wait. Can you see that the V stands for, is it, it's supposed to be empty, not null
Yes.
constraint valid.
Let me enable this.
I think now it's fine.
Okay. Okay, now it is modified here. Now we'll run the same example one more time. See, now it is executed successfully. Can go this. So this is the home address we made as a null, and we discuss only the billing address. So earlier we inserted all the record first row, and now I commented the home address. Only I'm discussing about the billing address. So now next example, you can come up with a home address. You can make the billing address. So because of this particular null values, we can have an option to this. But everything what I'm doing is, with the help of this particular component, I'm trying to store into the single table. Okay. If you're not interested, what we can do, we can create the address table and we can store the values. But here in the address table, we cannot create something like home address or billing address. What we can do, if I want to create this two, we need to create the two classes here, home address or the billing address. Again, we can go for this particular separate table here. So it's like we'll discuss about the super class and subclass table for each and every table with a subclass here. So what we can do, simple example, we can create the one super class, something like address, and this address is going to extend into the first one is billing address, second one is home address. So this is the two classes we can extend, and we can create the separate table for this and a separate table for this. If you are not follow this using this particular component, we can store in the table information inside this particular only one table, that is called user. Okay, we'll see with the one-to-one relation how the user and address is going to work, because so this is the important section. Inside this particular user only, like inside this particular address, also we can create this particular all the properties. Whatever the properties we have created in the user class, same thing we can create, and there we can provide the some home address null and billing address. And if you are trying to create the home address, you can make the billing address null. But those section we will try to discuss about the one-to-one association, how it is going to work. But this is the component key we need to use it to work on the different columns if I want to store in the user table. Okay, now what we are doing is we are trying to creating these sections here. So component information, and this is the another component here. Okay, this is we need to understand here. Now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to provide the another important section here. So we discuss about the sequences related, like generator related sections. So inside this particular generator related section, what is the generator we are using here? Native generation. Okay, the native generator basically it is a combination of these three classes. What are the three classes? So you can use either identity, or you can go for the sequence, or you can go for the increment here. So any one of these we can use it. So first, what is the generator we are using? So if you see here, we are trying to come up with where is a console. Inside this particular console, we are using Hibernate sequence here. So this is the generator we are using. Every time it will try to increase based on this particular sequence value. Getting the pen, it will load the next value. So we can create a one sequence here with help of like if you're not working with a Hibernate, manually we need to create the sequence here. Okay, but right now Hibernate is going to create this particular sequence. What is the name it is providing? By default, Hibernate underscore sequences here. So if you go to here, inside this particular public schema, we can identify the sequences here. Now you can see we are having Hibernate sequence here up to what is the maximum value. This is the maximum value which is going to repeat, and right now the last value we used as a 32 here. Okay, so it's starting with the 1 here. Minimum value every time it is going to increase as a 1, and this is the last value. Getting the point? So this particular sequence only we are using right now. Who is going to create this sequence? Hibernate is created internally. Okay, this is we need to understand here. After this, now what we are doing is we are trying to discuss about this particular component related sections here, and once we identify this particular component related sections here, we need to discuss about the mapping class inheritance here. So how we can use the inheritance section in the Hibernate here. Getting the point? So far we did not use any Hibernate related the inheritance concepts here, but now we'll discuss about the how we can use this particular mapping class inheritance. So here what we need to understand here, if I want to work with this particular inheritance here, so basically one table for one every class here. Getting the point? So this is the good approach here if you are trying to work with any the like Hibernate with the Java. What we are doing basically, we'll create a one class, and the particular class columns, the particular column properties we are going to refer into the specific table here. Okay, so this is one of the good approach here. But here, along with this, so using this particular inheritance here, we are going to create a super class and subclasses here. So how we are going to create the table for this particular subclasses? What are the different types of inheritance we have inside this particular Hibernate? Okay, so and here what we can understand, inheritance is one of the most visible features here. Get in the point. Where exactly it is going to visible in the subclasses, all the properties we can visible here. Okay, now you can see we have a three types of inheritance we have inside this particular Hibernate. First one is table per concrete class. Getting the point? This is very important here. Concrete class. Concrete class base is nothing but we are going to create a one abstract class here, and we'll try to create a concrete class along with this particular abstract class related sections here. Okay, how we are going to create this particular table? How we are going to create this particular table for this particular concrete class here? This is important. And the same way, how we can create the table for class hierarchy. So this is the another one important section, table for class hierarchy. Class hierarchy is nothing but we are going to create the multiple classes here, and based on the classes we are going to create the tables here. Each and every class, how we are going to create the table. Okay, so this is another important here. And so the last one, table for subclass. Table for subclass. So these are all the three inheritance we have here. So we'll try to use the one by one how it is going to use. Getting the point. So table for concrete class, how it is going to work basically. So this is the approach basically. We are going to create one abstract class, and we'll try to create the object for this particular non-abstract class here. And for the non-abstract class, we are going to create the table, and we'll try to store the abstract class property and non-abstract class property in the non-abstract class here. Okay, so the table, it is going to point it to the non-abstract classes. The simple example what we can understand here. So now if you see here, I'm trying to create the billing details. Okay, billing details is a one abstract class we are having. So this particular billing details is implemented by, these are all the two sections. First one is credit card, and second one is bank account. Getting the point. So this is important. We need to understand here. So this particular credit card is a non-abstract class, and the same way bank account also, it is a non-abstract class. But these two are extending from this particular billing details here. Now, so if I'm going to use this particular table for concrete class, what we can understand here? This is important. We need to understand here how we are going to create the table for the credit card as well as bank account. So it's a simple. So we'll try to extend from this particular billing details, and we'll create this particular credit card, and we'll create the table for this credit card. And so what are the SQL queries we are going to generate? So here we are going to generate select star from, getting the point, select star from credit card, where credit card ID something. Okay, whenever I'm trying to run the query, what happens internally? This particular table, like a credit card object, it is going to load, and it will try to print the values here. Okay, so let me write the simple example inside this particular concrete, like a table for concrete class here. Where is the Hibernate? Here we are having the Hibernate. Now I'm going to create the first billing details class here. And what are the billing details we can provide here? Something like, so provide something like owner, and some billing details number. So any property we can take here. And so here I'm trying to create a date here. So we can go for the date here. So we'll use this particular date. So our whatever the java.util, and we'll try to generate this particular properties here. So what are the properties we are having? Owner, created date, and number. Now what I'm doing here, one more class I'm going to create here. So what is the class we can create? Credit card. And this particular credit card now internally extends from the billing details. Okay, so once it is extending, now what I will do, so we can make a string type here, what type of credit card it is, and here expired month here, and expiry here. Long ID. select all, and I'm generating this. Okay, so finally what we will do, we'll try to set the billing details and information as well. Where we are going to set here only inside this particular credit card, we'll try to set the properties. Okay, now what I will do, here I'm going to use the columns informations here. Let me create the credit card section. Here only I'm going to create the file creditcard.hbm.xml, and finally we'll copy whatever we used. Okay, so this section I will move to the, okay, we'll keep here only because we already discussed here. And what is the table we can create here? For this particular table, schema, I am trying to use EC. And ID, so we have a ID property. So credit card ID, type line. So you can go for the same native here. And so credit card type here, credit card type here. And we'll remove this component section, not required. Expire month, type here exp month here. So credit card, oh, okay, so expire month here, and expire year also. And what we can do, we'll go for the billing details. Billing details owner. So created date. Well, now what we can do, simply we can provide created date. Okay, these are all the properties. Now anything we are missing? I hope all we covered here. So we'll see how this object is going to create. Now if I want to use this, now what we can do, I want to comment this first. Okay, as well as this section also we want to comment here. So, entire section only one time we can comment it here. Okay, this is we identified here, and this is also not required. And finally what we will do, credit class, the whatever the credit card class we have, we added here. And what is the object we can create here? Credit card. Okay. Card dot set created date. So here I'm trying to set today date here. And card dot expire month. So it will expire something like 09, something like 25 month only, right? You can give only 09. Expire year, we can provide something like a 2025. ID number, the number billion code number. So this is the random number. Type here. So what is the type here? It is a for this. Now what we can do, we'll create a one enum here. Card type here. So what we can provide? One is Visa, something like a MasterCard. Okay, so I think this will not allow. And what is another we have?
Amex.
Sorry?
Maybe American Express, something you guys.
Okay, we can write Express. So we have these three. Now what I will do, we'll go to this. Here I'm going to write the type here. So what is the type we are using? Card type dot. First we'll save with the Visa, and it is not a enum type. Okay, now what I will do, we'll modify this to enum instead of this particular string. What we provided. Oh, sorry. This is available in the billing details. No, here only, right? Type. So this I need to train. Okay, so everything we created. Now finally session.save, and we'll call this. So instead of user, we need to save as a card here. Now we'll see how this particular section it is going to work internally. And here, so what is an exception we are getting? Class credit card type cannot be cast to the string. Okay, so this is expecting string here. Now what we can do here? So this is unmapped module of loader. Because of this, so what we can do, we'll try to come up with the type same the enum type only, but we'll try to modify to the string. Now what we can do here, I'm going to call name here. So directly it will print this particular name here. So here we can modify right now. EC credit card does not exist here. What happens? Whatever we are inserting here, so unsuccessfully create the table. The schema EC does not exist here. Whatever the EC we provided here, EC does not exist here. So what we can do, we need to create the one schema here. Okay, to create the schema, where we can go inside this, we can create the schema. I'm providing EC, so I'm running this. Now we'll run the one more time. Now you can see it is created. Get in the one, insert into this particular credit card. These are all the some values. But now let me go to this. Select star from EC dot credit card. We'll see. Okay. Now whatever we provided here, we are getting this. So why this owner is null?
Probably we
Okay.
did not set.
Yes. So here we did not set this particular owner information, but now the type, now you can see where we are having the type called visa. Okay. So now the secondary card we can try to create with another something like express we can create, and same time we can provide as a card dot set to owner. So the owner I'm trying to make as a billing details, or we can make as a credit card, because we are trying to save the data with help of this particular credit card. Now, so for this, I'm going to make some random values. So, 35, 36. Now it is the credit card type is express here. Now these are all the some values we have. Okay, so this is the way of inserting the data into the credit card. And what is the relation we are using? One abstract class and one concrete class. So this is something like a table for concrete class. So this is the way of using the one example. And now another important section, what we can do here, whatever we discuss here, table for class hierarchy. This is the important here, how this particular polymorphism it is going to use here, because some fields are we are going to copy from the super class, and some fields we will copy in the subclass itself here. Okay, now we'll see how this example it is going to work here. So to understand this, now what I'm doing is same thing, the billing details, credit card, as well as the bank account. Whatever we provided here, we are using same. But finally, now what I will do here, I'm going to use a one table. So one table I'm going to use it, and I'm going to come up with all the sections here. So now first I'm going to create the one more class. something like bank account. So bank account I'm trying to use here, and inside this particular bank account, it is going to extend from the billing details. And here, so only two properties I'm trying to providing here. What are the two properties? Something like private string, bank name, and here bank location. Okay, so these are all the two properties, and will generate setters and getters for this particular bank class. Now what I will do here, I am going to use the one of the important example on the one table. So what is a one table? I'm going to use it. Now if I'm going to show you here, and what is the table we can create here? Something like billing details -hbm dot xml. I'm going to copy all the sections here into the billing details here. Now understand here what is the class we are going to create here. The name of the class billing details, and what is the table name we are going to create here? Same thing, billing details. Whatever the schema we are using, we'll keep as it is here, and inside the billing details we need to create a ID. Here we need to create ID, and let me generate this ID. So what is ID we can provide? Billing details ID. And after this, now what I'm doing here, whenever we are trying to discuss about this particular table, we need to use one column here. So this is the important column we are adding, because we are trying to discuss about the table for hierarchy. So whatever the hierarchy classes we are having, for all the hierarchy classes, we are going to create only one table here. Okay, so this particular table internally, it is going to communicate it with this based on this particular column value. So something like discriminator, we are going to use it. Now you can see how we are going to provide. This is the discriminator value we need to provide here. This particular value only, it will identify which object we are trying to save. Okay, so right now the default value I'm trying to give as a BD. BD is something like billing details. Okay, now so ID we provided. So after this, now what I'm trying to provide here I'm going to provide the one like a property called discriminator. So this particular discriminator we are going to use it. So inside this particular discriminator, we are going to provide the values here. Okay, so now you can see here what is of column we need to create. the column I'm trying to create this billing details type here. What kind of this particular billing details type we are going to create? Okay, and here what we can provide? Type here by default it is providing as a string. Okay, same thing I'm going to use. This is the discriminator, the one column it is going to create it. This particular column value, whatever we are providing like this. So by default we are going to provide as a BD, and if you are trying to change this particular BD, it will modify here. Okay, now we created. Now finally, now what I will do, we are going to use the whatever we are having the owner property. Okay, so something like what are the other classes we are having, like a number and created date. These are all the same property we are going to use. And here I'm making. Okay, so these are all the billing details related sections. And here I'm trying to create a one subclass here. Okay, so what is the name of this particular subclass here? The name credit card here. And so what is the discriminator value we need to use? I'm going to use CC. Getting the point? So this is important. So inside this particular subclass, now what are the properties we are having? Whatever the properties we are having, this particular properties we are going to use. Okay, these three properties comes under the observe carefully. Here we are creating one main class, and internally we are trying to create one subclass. Okay, this particular billing details internally, it is trying to extending this particular subclasses as well. So the discriminator value I'm trying to providing CC. This CC, it is going to store under this particular type. Whatever the billing details type we are having, this particular column, dynamically it will create here, and this value it is going to store. CC, by default it is going to store as a BD, and if we want to store as a the bank details, we can create a one more subclass and we can store the discriminator value BA. Okay, so this is the way of creating this. Now what we are doing here, so this particular type, it is trying to differentiate the subclasses here. Which subclass we are trying to use, that will try to differentiate here. And so whatever the properties we are having, the superclass, we need to always map it with this particular property. And every subclass, whatever the subclass we are having here, so again internally it is going to map it inside this particular billing details table. And if you are interested, we can provide this particular the not null constraints. So otherwise we can use whatever we want to use here. Okay, now what we can do here, we'll try to store this particular objects here. What is the object we need to store here? Subclass property we are using, and inside this particular subclass, anything we are missing? I think we are not missing anything. Let me create the objects here. So what is the object we can create? For example, if I'm going to provide this, again it will go to the credit card section and it will create the credit card section object. But what we can do, we need to create the particular billing detail sections here. So how this particular billing detail sections we are going to use here? For this purpose, let me comment out. Along with this, we'll add Now what we will do, we'll create this. It will try to use this particular credit card section. Now I will remove this particular credit card sections here from this particular location. So we don't have a control X. I will paste inside the source directory. Okay, where is the credit card? Here it is there. Now from here we can delete. Okay. Now what is the object we can create here? The same object we can create something like whatever the other credit card we created here. Now we'll see how it is going to run. Okay, where we created billing details here? Here only we created. It is there, right? Anything I'm missing wrong? Okay, it should be D should be capital. Billing details dot hbm dot xml. Let's see what is an exception. So class not found. So credit card is not found. Where it is available? Let me go to the where is the file. This is the file, and now copy this and paste it here. Now you can see insert into the billing details. So these are all the some columns we have. Now we'll see how these particular values are inserted. So what is the table we need to discuss here? Something like select star from. Okay, it will come with a public here. So EC dot EC only, right? Yes. Now you can see same values inside this particular billing details. We are trying to save the CC type. Now you can see what is the billing details type we are getting CC. So where we provided here. So inside this particular where is the file? So here we provided the particular value as a CC, the discriminator value. This is important. This particular section now internally it will try to create a one column. It will provide. So based on this particular column, now what we can do, we can query the data here. Now if you want to load this particular credit card section, now you can load, and another section whatever we are trying to create, something like a bank account, the bank account related section we can create here. Okay, so now I will copy this same section and here I will paste here. Now I will comment out this. Okay, now here I will modify to BA, and what we can do, bank account. So where is the bank account? And this is the bank account we are having. So type name type, not a type, it is a bank account, bank name. Simply we can make bank name. Type we can make as a string only. And so another one, bank location. Bank location. So I will remove this one extra column here. Now this is not needed. Okay, so observe carefully. Now what I'm doing it, this is the subclass I'm trying to use, and this is the columns we are going to use, and finally.
Can you look at the class name again, the bank account? It seems like some case sensitive BA, line number 30.
Yes, correct. Sorry. So now you can see, so bank account. Now it is matching here. Go to the Hibernate main. Now what we can do, we'll comment out this section, and we'll try to discuss about the so account new bank account. And here now what I'm doing here, account dot bank location. The location is available under the so Hyderabad, and bank name we can provide something like HDFC. Set here created date when this particular bank was created. Something for this also we can go for the same new today date only. Account dot number. This is the specific bank will have the number, something like a random number, and owner. The owner here we are trying to store as with a bank account. Now finally copy these three, and account. So now it is stored with this particular details here. Now if I'm going to run this, what is the information we are getting here? Now this is the billing details types we are getting as a BA. Earlier we got as a CC. Okay, bank account, some bank details number, so created date, and these are all the credit card sections. So these three will get null here, and these two we are getting because of this particular section we are getting as a bank account. Okay, so this is the way of creating table for hierarchy. So whatever the super class, now it is extended with how many classes, how we are creating it with the help of this particular subclass, the whatever the subclass we are having, with the help of the subclass we are using here. And here this is the another important section we need to discuss here, something like table for subclass here. Okay, table for subclass, whatever the subclass we have here. Now this is important here, how we can discuss about the table for subclass here. So this is the final, the mapping information we are discussing here. These are all the mapping inheritance which are available under this particular Hibernate here. So for this, so basically whatever we discuss, the same three classes we are going to reuse here. Now whatever the billing details, credit card, as well as the particular bank account here. Okay, but now how I'm going to provide this particular mapping details here? The mapping details here I'm going to provide the so joined subclass here. So this is only the differences we are going to have for this particular subclass here. So this subclass is having the superclass call. What is the superclass we can discuss here? Something like billing details. Okay, this is only the differences we are going to provide here. And if I'm going to use the same file, here we are using the subclass, but the key, so which key, what is the key here? It is playing the important role, something like billing details ID only. Getting the point here. Now if you see the billing details ID is modifying here. This is the primary key of this particular table. If I'm going to show you why it is not showing problem. Okay, maybe we are inside this now. Open in the sorry. Let me go to the SQL editor, new SQL, and here easy. Whatever we are having, these are all the user table, user primary key. Now I will copy this. Now Hibernate, inside the Hibernate, we are moving into the EC schema. Oh, still it is not loading. Let's see. Okay, where it is created? EC only, right? Why it is not loading here? It should be available here. Okay, now it is available again. Okay, so here what I want to provide here, this is the not null we are having, and another one is billing detail type also, it is a not null. Okay, and what is the constants we are having? Billing details PK. So it is something like a primary key. Okay, if I'm going to show you what is mapping internally, billing details ID here. Getting the point. So these are all the some advantage we are going to get when we are using this particular dbehavior. So this this information we cannot identify under this particular PG admin. Okay. Coming back to here, now I'm going to discuss about the join subclass. So here the join subclass is internally, it is going to work with the different keys here. So now observe, whatever we are using is same I'm going to use here, the properties and everything. And instead of this particular subclass, now I'm coming with a joined subclass. So what is the joined subclass we can provide? Same thing. So we'll create this particular bank account here. Now I'm commenting this. After this particular joined subclass here we need to provide the table name. Getting the point? Here we need to provide the table name. So what is the table name we need to provide here? Whatever the table we are going to use. So far we don't have this particular bank account here. Now what we can do, we can move on to the credit card section, because we already created the one table inside this particular credit card. So now first we'll discuss about the credit card. Later we can discuss this. So I'm commenting the particular subclass section. Okay. And after this, now what we can understand, here we need to provide the table. What is the table we are going to provide here? Something like credit card. Okay, so inside this particular credit card table, what are the keys we are having? This is important. Okay, the key, what is the key column we are having? Credit card ID. Okay, this is the key. And whatever the properties we are having, these are all the properties I'm going to paste it inside this. So this is the important information we are using joined subclass here. The joined subclass internally, it is connecting to the another table here, something like a credit card. It will try to load the data from the credit card here. So this is the way of making the relation between the billing details as well as something like a credit card. And here we are not using any, getting the point, here we are using any the discriminator values here. We are not providing anything here. Getting the point, because it is the root class we are trying to map it with the billing details, and so there is no the discrimination, it's not required here. So now what we can do, we can remove this. We can remove this particular BD, and whatever the section we have, this is also we can remove here. Getting the point? This is important two sections here. And after this, now what I will do, we'll try to run the same example. So we'll try to see how it is going to map here. Basically, whenever we are using this particular giant subclass, now what happens internally, whatever this particular element we are using here, where is the element here? So this one, giant subclass. Now what we can understand this particular giant subclass, the giant subclass internally, it will try to connect with the required subclass table. Whatever the subclass table we have, something like credit card, if the table is not available, it will try to create the table. Okay. Otherwise, it will use the existing table only. Now we'll see how it is going to use the whatever the primary key we provided for this particular credit card. Now we'll also have the foreign key relationship here. Getting the point here, it will try to communicate with the billing details, primary key and foreign key relationship here. Now we'll run this example, how it is going to execute this. So where is the discriminator? So I commented, right? Okay, so it is not matching here. Okay, so this is we'll use here. And finally, now what we will do, we'll try to create the three objects here. Getting the point? Here we'll try to create the three objects here. So how these three objects are going to create here? So now whatever the same example we discussed in the last example, I'm trying to comment out this, and here I will enable this. Okay, the same example. And what we need to do, what are the required information it is going to store in the credit card, and what are the required information so which is going to store in the something like what we can call it as a billing details table. So this is the null values we are getting. Now we can remove this particular constraint section here. So here I'm trying to save this. What is another exception we are getting here? Something like the relation, whatever the relation we are providing, credit card does not exist here. Okay, so it's trying to insert one record into this particular credit card here. Now what happened internally, whatever we are trying to create this particular table, so it is not there here. Okay, so this is important here. Now you can see insert into billing details, insert into credit card. So here we are getting two insert queries here, but earlier we got only one insert query. So this is because of the joined subclass, whatever the joined subclass element we are using. Now it is not inserting the data into the one table. It is trying to insert into the data into the two tables. Now what we can do, we'll try to add this section. Okay, and whatever we copy, where is that credit card? Now I will paste it inside this particular Hibernate here. Now if I'm going to run this, now we'll identify what happens internally. Oh, duplicate class entity. Now we are getting the duplicate section. Where we are getting duplicate import credit card. Maybe it will take care of I4. Credit card does not exist. So we have a table, right? Why it is not executing? So inside the issue we have credit card only. So any specific columns we have? Okay. Now what I will do, I will remove these two tables from here. We'll recreate here EC dot
I think the
credit
columns are, it's a duplicate, like the same columns are duplicating in the another
credit.
table, like subclass.
Yes, yes. Now I deleted the credit card table. Now you can see it is inserted because of the particular columns, whatever the columns we have in the credit card section. So it is duplicated. Okay. So anyway, now first we'll see the billing detail section here. So the type we removed here because we'll get a null here, and the billing section again, whatever the value we inserted, the existing records only we inserted here. Okay. And what we can understand here, the credit card type and the credit card month and the credit card here. So this also we are getting null. Why we are getting null here? Because this data will inserted into the subclass here, whatever the subclass we are having here. Now you can see select EC dot credit card here.
Because you commented, right, that one, the class, add class here, the table is not created.
No, table is created here. So inserted into credit card.
Is that a line number 16 you commented? Is that the class, credit card class?
We'll see the first information like whether the table is created or table not found. Okay, maybe table not found, table found, and this table not found. So it is storing only into this. Okay. So let me add this class also. So we are getting duplicate here because internally it is identifying this. Okay, inside this it is trying to identifying this particular credit card section. So this is not required here. Basically here only we are providing the section. Where is this? Inside the billing detail section only we are providing. So here we are providing the name of the table. Okay, let me, oh, got it. Scheme also we need to provide.
EC.
Okay. Because here it will try to create the table. Now table not found, but again it is trying to create or not.
I see both the records are inserted, both the tables at the end.
Yeah, that is fine. But here table not found, but here we have a table found. So these are all columns. Okay, let me see. Yes. So this is the way of the. So what we can understand here, whatever the information we provided here, with help of this particular information, it will try to create the new table. It will try to join with the billing details. Now how it is joining it? So now this is important. 43 we are having credit card ID. Now if I'm going to show you the billing details, here also we are having same 43 here. Okay. So this is the same record it is going to create, like with the same ID it is going to create it in the credit card as well as in the billing details. Getting the point. So how it is going to create here the relation we are providing key. This particular key, it is going to work as a foreign key. And what is the primary key? The primary key basically it is this billing details ID. Okay. These are all the hierarchy mapping we have here. So these are all the important. If I'm going to show you this, and if I'm going to provide this particular constraints here, so credit card constraints here, what we are having here. So now you can see there is no primary key constraints. Now if I'm going to show you any foreign keys we are having, but how it is storing, let me show you this, how it will work. The credit card ID. Okay, so if it is not there, we'll go for the billing details. I don't know why this billing details is not opening. Let me refresh this. Okay. Billing details not found in the schema, you see. So maybe it's we have some bug. Basically, the table is available here. View table. Only. Okay. So the constraints here, primary key constraints only they are making it, but ID is the same here. So index, if you see, what is the index we are having? Billing ID and any here we don't have. Okay. Let me go to this credit card. Any indexes we are having? So credit card only. Now the index is how it is mapping default. So dependencies, references. Okay. Anyway, whatever the credit card ID, the primary key value. So now it is matching with the same whatever we inserted inside this particular billing details. But internally, we can understand primary key and foreign key relations here. So both values should be same here whenever we are trying to insert this particular data. Billing ID, billing detail ID, as well as whatever this particular credit card ID we are trying to create here. Okay, this is important. Any questions here?
Are you having a referential constraint here? If it only exists in the parent table, then only you can insert the data in the child table.
Data exists basically at a time only it is going to perform the two operations. So see here, first it is inserting the billing details, later it is trying to inserting here. So it is not going to check anything because here we are trying to create the every time new object here. Every time whenever we are calling this particular safe, we are going to get the new entry.
Okay, the reason why I asked is like how we are going to enforce the referential integrity of among those records. If record is not exist, then should not insert into there.
So for that we have a update method, save or update. If the record is already existed, it will try to update the records. It will not modify, like it will not create the new record. So whatever the ID we are providing here, first it will check the object. If it is existed, it will just modify the remaining columns, not the primary key.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll identify these are all the save related example. Now we'll try to continue the same session tomorrow. Like we have a association, many to many association, how we can discuss, like one to one association, how we can discuss. These are all the like a hierarchical example we discuss, like how we can come up with a super class and subclass when we are having how we can create the object here. But tomorrow, whenever we are having multiple objects here, how we are going to match it with one table with another table with multiple records here. So this section we'll discuss here, like whatever the category class we created in the last session, we'll continue the same category here. Like we are going to discuss about the child categories, and the same time we'll try to discuss about the items here. Because items we are having multiple items, same way in the opposite side we created multiple categories here. Okay, how we can insert this particular data, this section we'll discuss in the tomorrow. So once this particular association is completed, now we'll move on to the life cycle of this particular Hibernate, how the life cycle it is going to work here, like a transient state, persistent, and detached state we are going to discuss it. After this, we'll discuss about the query and criteria interfaces, how they are going to work internally. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow. Anyone having any other questions here? Okay, if not, we'll continue tomorrow.